Hey, what's up, YouTube? I hope all of you guys are doing well. I know it's not an easy time right now with the coronavirus affecting everyone around the world. I hope you guys are okay and safe. Today I wanted to talk about a concept that came up in a new book that I started going through, and the book is called Upstream. And in one of the early chapters, the author talks about how when it comes to training in sports, there wasn't really a mindset several years and decades ago about preventing injuries. The mindset was more about injuries were just bound to happen and then we have to treat them. There wasn't really a science around preventing these issues from occurring. And the author gets into detail about how this is being applied today and a lot of the money and business behind this and a lot of interesting concepts. And I know firsthand from myself and working with the Toronto Raptors and learning from them how important injury prevention was. And I want to relate this whole concept to back issues, just using my experience with back pain and back injuries, but also the kind of concept around preventing these and why a lot of people just wait till these injuries happen to treat them. So, if you look to back issues specifically, one indicator of prevention is we can look to the hips and look at hip mobility. If someone has very stiff hips and they can't move well with their hips, they're going to move more through their low back. Now, the more motion at the low back, the more stress on the low back. And if the hips don't move well when you turn, or like when we're maybe taking a step forward and we're getting more motion from the back, that can arguably be a predictor for a low back injury, whether it's a disc injury or maybe a stress fracture, whatever it is. So when it comes to training in the gym, instead of just trying to get strong or getting more powerful, we want to look at improving hip mobility. So that way we can get the hips to move a little bit better to help spare stress on the low back. So that could maybe involve some mobility drills, involve some maybe foam rolling, some soft tissue work, maybe it's some manual therapy, or maybe it's just working on some core activation, getting the low back stronger. It all depends on what is causing that mobility restriction to begin with. But the point being that I'm trying to portray to you guys is that this wasn't a mindset that was used several years ago or decades ago, and I'd say today people haven't accepted it or see the value in more of the preventative side of things. But the problem is in using my experience with the Raptors and using such a high level organization like that, the problem is let's say that they have stiff hips and they can identify that as a predictor for a back issue. Now, if they weren't able to do that years ago and just waited for a back injury to develop, let's say a herniated disc, that player, say he makes about $10 million a year, he could be out for a year, could be out for 2 years, or his career could be done. Now, not only is that going to hurt the organization, it's going to hurt the player's career himself. So there's going to be money lost all around. Then we have to factor in the treatment. Now, there's going to be a lot of money that's going to have to be used towards treating this individual, when instead we could have just invested a lot of this money at the beginning to prevent this issue from happening, and we could have saved millions of dollars that could have been lost afterwards. And people don't think or see the value in that at first, and that's part of the problem and I was a good example of that. I never really, when my back issue occurred, I never thought I was going to get a back issue, a back injury. And my clients, a lot of them that I work with, pretty much all of them have already sustained their back issue or a back injury, but then they don't see the value in investing in a preventative service until after they got an injury, because they don't see the value in it. But what I'm trying to say is if they did see the value in it beforehand, that could have saved them lots of money on treatment costs, whether it's physio, chiro, seeing doctors, whatever it is. And there's more research coming out, more studies being done, and it's very fascinating what they're doing right now is they're identifying predictors that can create certain injuries. So to give you an example, if you have stiff hips, you're at a greater risk for developing a back issue. Now, to break it down a little, what would be interesting is to see if, how long does it take for that person to maybe sustain it or develop an injury. Maybe they have a certain limitation in internal rotation, maybe in one side of their hip, and how does that correlate to maybe 2 years down the road? Do, say, basketball players or hockey players, do they develop a back injury on average 2 years after maybe identifying really interesting stuff. But the whole concept of this is I want you guys to think of it in a different way about the value of prevention and why a lot of people should maybe try to just think about how preventing things can not only save them money in the long term, but it can save a lot of trouble, headaches down the road, and it can prevent a lot of health issues. So it's something to think about, and I just wanted to share that with you guys because it was a concept that actually just came up in this new book that I started to move through called Upstream, and I found it very fascinating and something I just wanted to share with you. And I wanted to kind of relate it to more of a back pain or back injury scenario, and also using my experience with the Toronto Raptors, how important the preventative side of things is to save money and to prevent any future expenses. So I hope you guys found it useful, this video, and were able to take something away from it, just a little bit of a different perspective in terms of how to think about these preventative services and whatnot, and why it's so important that we focus on preventing the issue before it actually develops and identifying predictors of what creates these different types of back injuries, or let alone any injuries for that matter. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will speak with you guys soon. Hope you guys are well. Take care and bye.